everybody. Good morning. Let's just make sure you can hear me first of all. Mic and everything should be okay, but let's hope that it's actually working. My name is Lisa Dublin. I'm a health and life coach. I help you to live, speak, and lead with confidence. And today we want to talk about 5 lessons I've learned from love and hoping you can share yours. Before I go any further, just let me know if you can hear me, you guys, wherever you're listening to me. If not, I'm just going to have to switch the mic and do what I have to do, right? But before I go any further, it is happy independence to my country, St. Lucia in the Caribbean. Happy independence to all St. Lucians on the island and in the diaspora, like I am. You know, part of our national anthem is wheresoever you may roam, love or love our island home. And I think a lot of us like feel that being away from the country, right? You feel an affinity in a different kind of way because you that's all you have to hold on to from home. So wherever you may roam, if you are from St. Lucia, happy independence, congratulations. This morning I put a post out to say, let me see, can everybody hear me? Sanu, can you hear me? Um, can you hear me? Okay, you're hearing. Okay, it's low. Okay, somebody said it's low. Let's see if we can fix that. I probably just need to bring my mic closer. Let's see. The volume is it still low, you guys? Thank you. Those my people in the Two Other Girls Success Club always come through. So, can you hear me? I'm just going through like a different I'm going through a different system today. You guys know I'm always like trying to make things work a little better. So let's see, is this working now? I put it like full volume. Let's see if that happens. We want to talk about love. Okay, thank you, Barbara. So it's a holiday, obviously, in St. Lucia because it's independence. So a lot of people are perhaps watching me from the comfort of their bed, and that's fine as well. But let's get into our topic. So, first of all, please go download the latest episode of my podcast. You guys, this is just a labor of love when I tell you, like, I'm learning so many lessons about when you really love something, you just push it effortlessly. Like, it's really that for me with the podcast. So whether you subscribe on Apple or on Spotify, it's there. Also, it's on YouTube on the Basement Chronicles channel, so you can subscribe and enable notifications wherever you subscribe, so that you can actually get in know when it comes out. It comes out every Thursday, and that's working out. So I'm very grateful for it. But let's get into the lessons about love. Hey Giselle, hey Barbara, hey Sunny. My goodness, you guys, thank you for being here. Here's the first lesson. We're not going to be very long this morning, right? First lesson is, and tell me what you think about it. You can't make people love you. Yeah, that's it. I This thing about running it, and I'm really talking to my ladies this morning, okay? And I think too, I'm talking about maybe pre-marriage too. A lot of it is about the lessons that I learned, just failing at relationships along the way. So do not think that I'm coming from a place of everything was always okay. Everything's not okay. Number one. Number two, there were some hard lessons to learn along the way, and this is the first one. You can't make people like you. And as I've grown in God, here's what I've come to realize. If you don't like me the way that I think I should be liked and loved, that is your loss. You have to have a sense of your preciousness, your value, the fact that I'm good. I would be good for somebody. And if you can't see it, it's your loss. I'm going to gather my skirts around me, and I'm going to move on and make space in my life for the right person. I am not going to do all the things, be running after you, be blowing up your phone, be all up in your business. No, you're the diamond here. In the podcast, and I hope you go listen to today's episode. It's called Lessons Learned from Love. And I was saying that, I always compare being a woman in love, or when I was single, an eligible woman. I always compare that to how the BMW functions. You don't see BMW placards having a closing down sale. No. BMW waits for the right person with the right amount of money. And I don't mean to commercialize love, or to make it seem like something that's just about money or materialize it, okay? Don't get me wrong. If you know me, you know I'm not about that. But here's the thing, the BMW dealership will wait for the right person with the right amount of money that knows its value to come into its gates. Isn't that true? Hey, Ian, I see you. How are you? Happy Independence. Hi, Aretha. How are you? So that's the first lesson. So if you don't like me, that's your loss. Okay? Like, cut, move on. Make space in your life for the right person to come. Now, obviously, if you're married, I think it's different. I think in marriage that there's a lot more grace and sacrifice that's required. And I'm not talking about any kind of abuse. If there's sexual abuse, if there's physical abuse, emotional abuse, I'm getting out. Like, no. Okay? I always say that you cannot save a burning building inside the building. So get out. Get out. Well, what are you doing there? Okay? That's the first lesson. Lesson number two, if you're out there looking for somebody, the one thing that I knew from very early, and I always say it over and over, choose somebody who likes you and loves you. Can I ask you a question? Do you think there's a difference between liking somebody and loving somebody? And do you think the two things are necessary for a relationship to work well? I think they are. I definitely believe that there's a difference between liking and loving people. Loving someone is that unconditional kind of, you know what, I will sacrifice for you. You're a human being, you're a person who deserves care and regard. Liking is, you know what, your isms, your things don't bother me. They're okay. I can take them. They're fine. I like that you're perhaps vivacious or you're quiet. I like that you don't like maybe, I don't know, green cards or green socks, or that you want green socks all the time. It's okay. For some people, certain ticks about people just drive them up a wall. Like, why can't you be this way? Why can't you be more like this person? Why can't you be quieter? I had a friend who had a boyfriend at one point, and she found herself having to kind of fold herself up to kind of fit into him, into his personality, and to his version of what he thought a woman should be, right? Oh my goodness, my people are here. And what is the link for the podcast? Giselle, go to Apple Podcast for me, and you can, or you could, the link, I posted it on my page before this, so you can just check it there, Giselle, or just go to Apple Podcasts and you can download the Basement Chronicles podcast, subscribe to it, so every time it comes out, you know you're gonna get notification of that. It's also on Spotify and it's also on YouTube. So go come and, like, you guys, let's years from now, God willing, when this podcast is bigger and better, you'll be like, yes, I was there from the beginning and I saw this thing grow. So I want you to come along with me because I feel like we're growing a baby together. So please go, hey, Claret, what's a joke for today, Claret? You can't force people to love you. Self love is paramount. So, second one is choose somebody who likes you and loves you, and choose somebody you love and like. I believe a lot of people love who they're with and they don't really like them. No, they bother you, they irritate you. So what's the point? But yes, you love them with the love of the Lord. But the person irritates you. What kind of love is that? What kind of relationship is that when you can't just let somebody be? So I was telling you all about my friend who she just found herself having to be less than who she was around him, around her guy. Like he was irritated by her extravagance of personality, and she was too extra. Okay? And guess who ended up leaving the relationship even after her folding herself into little tiny boxes for him? Guess who ended up leaving the relationship? He did. Because that authenticity that's necessary for you to have a foundation to move along, it wasn't there. So every time he was with her, she was somebody different to kind of please him. And the minute he was away, she was herself. It's not gonna work. Like, just find somebody who likes you. And if he doesn't, like, if that's not the person for you, please make room in your life for the right person. Now, here's the point number three. And if I think, was it February 14th? That was last week. So I released two ebooks, one for the single ladies and one for the married ladies. You can go to my website, lisamdublin.com/free. And those ebooks are there for you to download. I'm kind of like uploading reels, just one a week from each of the ebooks, some of the tips that I gathered from women, my friends, colleagues, etc., about what advice would you give to, to certain sets of people? And they were very insightful, and the feedback has been really good so far. So go ahead and knock yourself out. Like, I'm all about us winning together. And so that, I think, is very, very important, right? So Giselle, you got it right. I hope you did. So that's point number one. You can't make people like you. Point number two: choose somebody that you like as well as love. Here's the third point: don't compromise on your boundaries, even in love. And when I was recording the podcast and I came to that point, I had the points, obviously thought it out. I ended up saying, even in love, or especially because you're in love, you should not compromise on your boundaries. Have you ever found yourself saying, okay, well, I love the person, so you know what? I'm kind of going to make some concessions. Of course, we all have to give and take. It is about compromise. But I think what is very important in relationships is where you compromise. Where are you going to give and take? It should not be around the things that mean the most to you or that impinge on your worth or your value, like ill treatment, like abuse, like um, people making you accustomed to a way of life that you're not. Does that make any sense? Even in love, especially in love, you don't compromise your boundaries. I think what's important is how we go about doing it. So before we get into how, here's one thing I've learned over the years. I used to be like, you see me, choose the battles to fight. I don't really see you being in my life for too long, so I'm not gonna rock anymore. Do you, boo? If I don't want to be next to you, like, I'll just go. What I've realized is you can never tell when a chance encounter or a casual friendship, it turns into something more, a deeper friendship. You know how, was it Ian Van Zandt in Acts of Faith, that book that helped me and all my girlfriends who had broken hearts at university? Everybody was on Acts of Faith. Oh my goodness, that was so deep. That was, it's still good. It's still good for like rudimentary heartbreak. Go get Acts of Faith because it's a really good book. Like, we all loved it. But in there, she said, people come into your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. Sometimes what you think is a reason turns into a season, and sometimes it can turn into a lifetime. And I'm not just talking about your lifetime partner. Sometimes you have friends that stand the test of time. And so a couple times I found myself like, hey, okay, this person looks like they're going to be around. So we better start to lay down boundaries. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, if I had laid down the boundaries from when we first met, I wouldn't have to have the awkward situations of doing that right now. Even in love, because of love, make sure the boundaries are intact. And I feel like how we approach our boundaries is very important. You do not have to go with a placard. Many people, um, you know, I'm woman 97 or I'm woman hear me roar. That doesn't quite work. Many years ago, I had a poem about the emptiness behind the placards and the emptiness many times behind the movements that do nothing to move the needle on your self worth and on the quiet and deep work and the humbling work of working on yourself and knowing your value and maintaining it no matter what. That these two things, the placards of life and saying this is what I deserve, sometimes these things are way different from how you move in relationships. Many times you find, let me not even say that, right? But what I'm saying is know your boundaries and make sure that you push them in a way that makes for a relationship even after you've done that. And here's one simple way that I've found, and I teach it to my children all the time: actions have consequences. That's one way for you to strengthen boundaries. If you do this, this is what's going to happen. If this is the behavior you show, this is what you're going to get. You know why we don't do that kind of thing? Because of the lack of discipline within ourselves. I know because I've been there many a time, still am in certain ways. If you're not sure that you can hold the line and hold the boundary, it's very easy for somebody else to come in and to trample on that boundary because it wasn't well set in the first place. You guys, you see how much work we have to do, how much lovely self work with ourselves needs to be done? Hey, Melissa, how are you doing? Good morning to you, wherever you're watching me. Yeah, that's the work that needs to be done to set your boundaries and to sit back and look at life and be like, okay, it's like a chess game here. So if somebody makes that move, this is what happens. And to literally savor and see that happening because that boundary in your life is set. If you treat me badly, I'm not going to be in your life. If you hit me, that's a no no. Goodbye. Making space in my life for somebody who knows my value. Like there's no second chance. No. There- I don't know. Does that make sense? Are you feeling how I'm feeling this morning about this? So that's the first one. Don't compromise your values. Now, the last two are very related, and come to think of it, I think I have one or two that are different in the podcast. You listen, please give me feedback. I'm waiting for my first review on Apple. So somebody asked me how to actually go and do a review on Apple because it's difficult. Oh my goodness. So if you are an Apple podcast, and I hope you take it there, like you subscribe on Apple because it's one of the easiest and most accessible, honestly. And you just simply have to go. There's actually a video that I put in the show notes today that I found on YouTube that teaches you how to give a review on Apple for any podcast that you like. So I hope you're gonna give me a review, and I hope it's gonna be a good one. Okay, but make that your labor of love as a thank you to me for taking my time to do a podcast for us all. Go give me a review on Apple. That'd be great. The last 2 points that I have. Um, and I'm going to say something that's very controversial, but I don't care because I went through it and I know it works. Okay? If you find that you are going through a lot of broken relationships, the common denominator is who? Right? I heard somebody say recently that he found himself just dating the same woman over and over again. She just had a different name. Is that you? Is that how your relationships look? When I was in my 20s and dating game, whatever, it was the same thing. It was the same kind of guy, just a different name. And then I realized the common denominator was me. Now, don't let that be a pill that is too hard to swallow, okay? Hi, Cecilia, how are you? Good morning. Don't let that be too hard a pill to swallow because the thing is, you have to first acknowledge something for you to then change it. I know I'm kind of that's not hot bakes and cocoa tea this morning. What kind of breakfast is this morning I'm giving people? You guys tell me, is that Buckley's? Am I giving you Buckley's this morning? I hope not. No, let it be like, I don't know, honey and lime. You know, let's pretend you have a cold and I'm giving you honey and lime, the two things together, the sweet and the savory, to finally get a result, if that makes any sense, right? If you find, oh my goodness, if you find that you are the common denominator, that all the relationships look the same, you're the common denominator. And that means when you change, your relationships and the vibe you're putting out, the spirit with which you're coming into relationship, that too is going to change. When that changes, you're going to attract a different kind of person. That's exactly what happened. Like when I looked at myself, I was like, I am not going through this for the rest of my life. No, there has to be a different kind of person out there. And two things started for me. You know, I don't mean to get all spiritual here, but the first thing was to start to really pursue God. And I'll talk about that because that's one of the points. And the second one was to work on self esteem and self value. I got all the books. There's one book that's very good on self esteem. Nathaniel Braden or Brandon, I think it is. He has the power of self esteem or something of the sort. And I started my journey there to kind of know what was I missing, how do I get it, did the exercises, all of the things. That's why I'm in this field of life coaching because I've been coaching and being coached for a long time. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. And just starting that relationship with getting closer to God. Here's what happens. The brand of love that God gives you really sullies the water for all the players out there. I always say to everybody, especially to the ladies, okay? Pursue God with everything you've got. Get to the point where a relationship with God is like hot bread. So sweet, so tasty, right? That is what you know and expect. That brand of love, that brand of care, that sense of I spent time with God this morning. So you think I'm gonna come later and take your and no, no. No, I know God's got me. I'm his diamond in his crown. So no, you're not gonna come and try to get me accustomed to your bad behavior. No. Not because of where I came from and whose I am. And you guys, these are not words. This is coming from experience and from the wanting better and the wanting to be that valuable woman, that high value person who not only gave that kind of love, the kind of love even now in marriage, where it says in Proverbs 31 that the heart of her husband trusts in her. I don't know that I could get there without God. But it's also the kind of woman who's like, I don't need to take this in a very calm and real way, right? I don't need to take this because the God who I know has told me and built into me who I am because I've spent time with him. So when you come with this pastiche of love, please, to the left. Does that make sense? It's not sassy or anything, it's just the truth. And how you know whether you're there or not is what happens when bad behavior erupts around you, how you handle it or you don't. Okay? And so here's the last point, and I now realize making the connection. This last point of be willing to walk away. I feel like guys know how to walk away from relationships better than women. What do you all think? Am I being anything here? Am I being sexist? You think I am? No. The truth is, I've seen guys walk away, and when they walk away, they forget everything. But women like to hold on. And I learned how to walk away from a relationship because a guy walked away from me. True talk. No, I learned that. I admired that. What? You could do that? I'm taking that. I learned to walk away. I learned to forget it all. And here's the thing, when you are willing to walk away from everything, leave the clothes, leave the shoes, leave the house, leave the everything, and walk away with your dignity, most times you end up not losing anything. Or if you end up losing it, you can build it again. You can get it again. And that's a radical statement to say. And I know I've never had to walk away from house and land or nothing of the sort. So obviously things with a grain of salt. I'm talking about walking away from like before I was married, living with somebody at his parents' house and it didn't work out and I just didn't go back, left everything. I was like, he called, don't you want, leave it, give it to charity. I don't care. I don't care. I learned to walk away because this is not working. And I find that sense of radical, I'm willing to lose it all, it makes people around you line up. It makes you not play with other people's feelings as well. Come straight, come through, come good. One time. Because I'm willing to walk away if it doesn't work. There's a freedom in that. There's a freedom that you're not tied to what somebody can give you, promise you, what somebody has even done for you. If it's not working now, and maybe I'm not even talking about relationships that are good and just need to go to great. I'm not talking about abusive relationships for sure because I'll definitely walk away. So that's my last point. But it's also tied to if I know God's love, I know what I'm supposed to be accustomed to and what I'm supposed to be able to expect and to give. Because that brand of love is also something that you have to give. So that's the honey and lime this morning. That's the honey and lime this morning. That's the truth. The talk of relationships that, one of the areas I get very serious about because, just the heartbreak of life has made you wiser and looking around, seeing people willing to take so much, not wanting to let go from what they have, which is not working because they're not sure what else is coming. But my point is always you need to make, if it's not working, let it go. And that's coming from Iana Van Zandt in Acts of Faith as well. If it's not working, be willing to let it go and make room in your life for the right person, the right opportunity, or whatever to come in. Don't hold on. Fling the phone. Block the number. Let me be civil this morning. Anyway, folks, I'll be on tomorrow. And we'll talk about the speaking school. I want to tell you about something that happened. I launched the speaking school. The speaking school is only for the graduates of the Speak with Confidence program. So I developed this virtual continuous education program for my graduates of the Speak with Confidence program so that I could continue working with them on a monthly basis and just helping them improve their skills. Because although the program is pretty intense over 5 weeks, anybody who's especially into adult education knows that a lot of the learning takes place in afterwards, in the practice, in how you continuously develop your skills. And I am of that ilk. I love speaking and teaching people how to get out there and to present their messages well. So the speaking school was launched mid-February. It was a dream come true, and I want to tell you about it tomorrow because it wasn't just launching the speaking school, but when you have an idea in the back of your head or in your heart and it's just there in the dark, there's a way to get it from idea to execution. And that's what I wanted to talk about. I've come to realize a lot of people are just simply afraid. We're just afraid. If you knew that something would succeed, you would step out and do it. But a lot of us are afraid that if we step out, we will not get results. And there's a way to get over that. Not by getting results, it's actually in the doing and not in the result. There's a big difference that makes you like, okay, I did it. I leave the result up to life, up to God, up to whatever, right? But I've got the confidence to step out, and I want to talk about that tomorrow. So go check out the podcast, episode 14, Lessons Learned from Love. And most importantly, I'd love to hear what you think. So it either went out or if you're on my email list, it went out today. So you can just email me back, or you can obviously leave a review of the podcast on Apple, or just write me back. I'll find some way to put it on. Okay, everybody, I'll see you tomorrow. Join me here same time, 6 o'clock my time. What time is it for you? I know it's 9 o'clock in the Caribbean. What else? I don't know. 9 o'clock in the Caribbean, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, I think it is. And 6 and 7, probably 1 a.m. or something. I don't know, 1 p.m. in the UK, maybe. All right. See you tomorrow and have a great day. And yeah, learn your lessons from love. Let's make it count. And happy Independence, St. Lucia. Bye. Take care.